Hi there, Dr. Matthew Korn here, 65 Plus Center for Active Aging, here with your weekly rounds. Today is Friday, May 15th. I hope you're having a great week. Looking out the window here, it's a little bit rainy, starting to feel a little bit more like your typical late spring, um, hotter days, and cooling off with some showers in the or late afternoon, early evening. I kind of like that. I like it to cool down and make the evening real comfortable. Um, have my first on a personal note. I had my first time at the beach this week. I actually went twice. I left after work, took my snorkel and my flippers, and did a little bit of snorkeling and swimming. I don't think there was anybody in the water. There were a few people on the beach, but it was nice to see that it wasn't overly crowded like some of the things that we've seen on the news. And specifically, I'm talking about North Jetty Beach. I didn't go to any other beaches in the area. There were some jellyfish in the water, but the water is a comfortable temperature. And for some reason, jellyfish don't like me. So it wasn't a problem. Got my 20, 30 minutes in the water, and it felt good to be in the salt water. We had a very, very, very busy second week here with our phase one opening. Actually, we are booked. So if you haven't booked your appointment yet, there may be a waiting list. We do have daily cancellations like we always have. And right now, we're only seeing patients Monday through Thursday. So I'm likely going to open up Fridays to accommodate everybody. You'll be working one on one with me, and you'll be the only person in the building at the time. It's a pretty good deal. Doesn't get better than that. I can only afford to do that so long to sustain the business, but it's the right thing to do with the current situation. We are looking at a phase two um, transition sometime in early June. We don't know the exact date. I am analyzing the data. You might be seeing a lot of the data from the state. I focus mostly on county data and actually focus on data within the zip codes of Venice because obviously things that occur in Manatee County or Orange County or Palm Beach County have really very little relevance on us unless people are traveling a lot to and fro. I don't think that's the case. Obviously, most of my clients are seasonal or full time, and they live right here in Venice. So there's a couple outliers that come and see me, but it's pretty easy to ascertain what's going on locally with infection rates and COVID-like illness reports and things like that. I'll get a little bit more in detail to how I am looking at that data and how I'm interpreting it in my newsletter, which comes out tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, you can do so. Go on my website, click on the Contact Us page, and a little window will pop up and say subscribe to my newsletter. And that comes out weekly. Well, actually, we're putting out weekly rounds, which is a kind of a shorter, more succinct newsletter. And then every other month, I put out a much more detailed newsletter that covers broader array of topics. Um, let's see. Let's talk about some news here. Um, and I really kind of want to keep it positive because I think there's some good things. It looks like the tennis courts and pickleball courts and volleyball courts are all opening up. If they haven't opened up yet, I think they do on the 18th, is for certain. My kids are swimmers, so I'm very interested to know when the pools are going to open back up. And at least for the city of Sarasota, where my kids swim, the city owned pool is opening up on the 29th of May, I believe. So if I'm not mistaken, that's a Friday. Don't quote me on that specifically. Could be different for here in Venice, and particularly private pools like the Venice Y. Um, there's actually no public pool in Venice. There is a public pool in Northport. If you didn't know about that, the Northport Aquatic Complex is phenomenal. I would say Olympic quality pool. Unfortunately, my kids swim for a swim team in South Sarasota, so we're in the opposite direction. But if I didn't swim and I didn't want to pay for the Y to swim, as you know, LA Fitness closed down. That was the only other privately owned pool that you could swim at. You didn't have any other options before that. You'd have to go up to Potter Park in Sarasota or up to Arlington Park, where my kids swim in Sarasota. But Northport's a phenomenal facility. Um, Other things in the news. Bear with me here, clicking through. Um, Looks like salons are reopening too. I didn't know that, but it makes sense. So for those of you who like to get primmed and propped, uh, with your hair, um, that's a good thing. I'm not sure about nail salons, but I'm going to lump those together, hair and nails. So likely you can get your nails done. Um, for whatever reason, Lido Beach is not open, and I don't know why. It could just be because the residents of on that island tend to want things their own way, or maybe they know something that we don't know. But you can't go over to Lido Beach. Um, um, just browsing the news here. I think the Venice Pier and the Dog Beach and South Jetty will reopen this Monday. And Venice mayor is pushing heavily for expanding outside dining. They're talking about closing down roads, I guess Venice Avenue and Miami Avenue and wherever the restaurants are in downtown Venice, and for certain hours, so they can fit more tables out there and appropriately space people. I think that's a great idea. Um, and again, data shows a decline in COVID-19 in the Venice Gondolier. I don't really like relying on other sources. This is just a headline I'm reading. The data I've looked at basically showed a 12-day downward trend in new COVID 19 um, cases as of not yesterday, as of, let me click on here, as of, the 11th. So positive cases. So the last time we had a spike was back on um, May 2nd. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days as of the 13th. And again, when we get to that 14 days of a downward trend, I can increase the amount of people in my facility as an option. I could actually increase it now, but that's the rule I'm following. That isn't the only metric I'm looking at. I'm looking at people showing up in the emergency room with COVID-like symptoms or flu-like or influenza-like symptoms, and that's how we're basically gauging it. Doesn't mean it's going to be free reign here. It just means we're going to allow maybe a few more people in the building at a time who are appropriate to be coming in. Um, so the last thing I want to talk about here, this weekly round is going a little bit longer than I wanted to. I guess I have a lot to talk about. Is I like to spend each week talking about a particular issue. And today, not today, yesterday, because today is Friday, I saw a very interesting case where a gentleman has been doing a lot of computing because he's stuck at home and spending more time on the computer. And he's leaning through his elbows. And he gave me a call. We did a telehealth visit, and he lifted his elbow up and pointed right to where I'm pointing to on my elbow, and I could tell in 2 seconds he developed bursitis of the elbow. Now, bursitis can happen in many places in the body, and the elbow is a little less common in the older adults. We see it a lot in sports injuries, people falling and bracing themselves as they hit the ground. Um, and He decided to come on in, and I took a look, and it was still a pretty acute case. In the old days, they would aspirate it or drain it and give you some antibiotics, but they're really getting away from that because that swelling is there for a reason. And the best thing that you can do, to be honest with you, has nothing to do with physical therapy. Um, you basically are going to brace your arm in full extension and don't weight bear through that arm for about 10 days. I know it's really hard, but just the simple fact is when you develop a bursitis, once you have developed a bursitis, as long as your elbow is bent, there's so much pressure there that things can't really heal. So you can buy a specialty brace that kind of locks your elbow out. What I tell people to do is just buy a really thick ace wrap that's 6 inches thick. Usually use that for your thigh, and just wrap it around your elbow so it's about 3 inches above your elbow and 3 inches below your elbow, and just wear it all day long, all night long for up to 10 days. That's a long time, but it certainly works, and obviously avoiding leaning through your elbows. That being said, I have patients that don't really want to wait that long or can't tolerate their elbow being straight because I'll be honest with you, after a while it gets a little uncomfortable. But my Class 4 laser system, which uses infrared light, has had a phenomenal outcomes with elbow bursitis. But the truth is, it takes about the same amount of time. So, if you're going to do somewhere between 3 and 9 treatments, that's going to take 10 days for us to get through that. And then in that time, you can, probably solve it yourself just by bracing. So elbow bursitis or olecranon bursitis is what we call it in the medical term. Look it up, research it. Love the AOS website, the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons. I think that offers the best information for the layperson. But if you want to learn more about bursitis, you can also, or you think you have elbow bursitis or any bursitis for that matter, you can contact me. If you don't feel like coming in, we can do a telehealth visit. Insurance covers that. And you can show me right on the computer screen what you're dealing with, and then I can tell you how to treat it. All right, ends weekly rounds for this week. You'll see me next Friday for another weekly rounds video cast. And again, if you're a newsletter subscriber, you'll get our weekly rounds newsletter tomorrow, which is the end of the week. Look for that in your inbox. I usually let it hit the inbox on Sunday morning because I don't typically get done with that until later in the evening on Saturday. And I want you to have something fresh to read other than the Sunday paper on Sundays. So, Dr. Matthew Korn, 65 Plus Center for Active Aging, and I thank you for watching.